Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video, we have a Start Collecting Age of Sigmar 3rd edition video for you, and today we're going to be looking at the Slaves to Darkness, the main force of the Chaos Warriors in the Mortal Realms. Now, first of all, before we get into talking about this box set, it's worth mentioning that all the models inside this particular box set are push fit. That is to say, they all consist of single parts. There's no actual spare bits, so you get the versions of the models here that you see in the box as they are. With that said though, we do get one Chaos Lord on Karkadrak. This is the only way to currently get this particular model, and he is an absolute beast of a model. He's got 9 wounds on a 3+ save, bravery 8, movement 9, and then he's got some really good damage potential here. 5 attacks at a damage 2, 3 attacks with D3, another 3 attacks at damage 2, some good rend, 1 on a couple of those attack profiles, and good hit and wound rolls as well. He's a pretty solid melee monster, or rather minor monster hero. He's not actually a monster, he's in that sort of bracket just below where, you know, he acts like a monster, but he isn't. But being 9 wounds is really good. This means he gets all the good things of being less than 10 wounds. Really nice there. Now, you can give him a Mark of Chaos, and that's completely up to you what you want to do with that. He doesn't have to have any particular one, and he doesn't gain any particular abilities on his War Scroll, so it's only going to be going off the basic Slave to Darkness rules for him. And also, he's got some really other cool abilities. So he does mortal wounds when he does impact. He does mortal wounds with his Demon Bound Blade, which is nice. So a couple of extra mortal wounds there. He also heals when he does some damage as well, when people are hurt by his Hexed Battle Axe, which is nice. And lastly, he also has a 5-up ward save built into him thanks to his rune-etched plating armor. So a really solid character. I mean, he's kitted out pretty much how most characters are when they've got artifacts of his ilk. So really nice characters to start off your box set with. We've then got 10 Chaos Warriors. These all come in the shield and hand weapon variation, and there are no command models other than a champion in this particular set. It's quite easy to go find maybe some spare bits around the place, look into your friends, and maybe if you purchase some other box sets, you can easily find some banners and stuff there to make a Hornblower and a banner for this unit. But Chaos Warriors with their shields are really nice. They got a 5-up ward against mortal wounds. They also, while they're 10 models or more, get to add +1 to their save, which is nice, dropping them down to a 3+ save, which is really, really good. And they're not terrible on their weapon profiles. They'll do a decent amount of damage for what they are. And then lastly, we have the Chaos Knights. Chaos Knights are one of your cavalry options for the Slaves to Darkness. And you've got the weapon here we have for them is the Cursed Lance. This has 2 attacks, 4s to hit and 3s to wound, but it also gives them the Impaling Charge rule where they add 1 to the damage characteristic of their weapon when they charge, so they can be damage 2, which is nice on the charge. Chaos Rune Shields, once again, they've got a 5-up ward save against a mortal wound, and they also make your opponent subtract bravery nearby them as well. Once again, this unit doesn't come with anything but a champion, so you're going to need to convert up a Sten Bearer and Hornblower with some spare bits you find from other kits. But all in all, this is a really great box set and actually serves the majority of a starter 750 point army. Next, let's talk about those endless spells. Slaves to Darkness are one of many armies in the game that have their own special endless spells, and let's talk about them now. For starters, we've got the 8-fold Doom Sigil. This is the endless spell you can see pictured at the bottom right. It's a stationary endless spell, and effectively you keep track of the number of models slain around this model each turn by endless spells, that range being 12 inch. At the end of each turn, you roll a dice for each model slain by an endless spell, and on a 3+, you pick a Slaves to Darkness unit near that endless spell and add 1 to the unit's attacks characteristic of a nearby friendly Slaves to Darkness unit. Once again, this is in a particular range of the 8-fold Doom Sigil, that being 18. So it sort of absorbs them much closer, but then extends the powers out a little bit further. Units cannot benefit from this effect more than once, and you don't give extra attacks to mounts. But nice, a cool way to get some extra attacks into your models. It does require a little bit of playing around. Generally, this is not going to be the first endless spell you take. You're going to want to take other endless spells to be able to deal the damage to make the 8-fold Doom Sigil work more. Then we've got the Darkfire Daemon Rift. This is a predatory endless spell, and it's the Chaos Sigil with the demon head breathing fire you can see on the bottom left there. It does mortal wounds to all units it passes over and ends near, and also if other endless spells are nearby, it adds additional mortal wounds to the mortal wounds damage that the Darkfire Daemon Rift does. Really nice. So once again, you're sort of seeing that these endless spells for the Slaves to Darkness work really well when you start taking multiple of them together. All of a sudden, the Eightfold Doom Sigil and the Darkfire Daemon Rift really complement each other and play well together. Lastly, the top one we got there, the bunch of spikes sticking out the ground, is the Realm Scourge Rupture. So it's a predatory endless spell. Units passed over or that are nearby this endless spell at the end of its movement either both suffer some mortal wounds and also halve their movement. So once again, this combines really well with the other endless spells, meaning you sort of use this to make your opponent's units not able to move out of range of that Eightfold Doom Sigil, and the Darkfire Daemon Rift and the Realm Scourge Rupture work together to do the mortal wounds, both buffing up the Realm Scourge, both buffing up the Darkfire Daemon Rift to get more damage because it's near a couple of endless spells, and also getting more potential +1 attack bonuses from your Eightfold Doom Sigil. A really nice set of endless spells I do find the Slaves to Darkness have. They all work really well, and I'm really interested in trying to make them work in a full army. But where do we go to next? So, for starters, let's look at the Chaos Sorcerer option. He's a pretty cool customer. Now, he doesn't have the same ability that he once had. He used to give reroll saves out. Now he gives a +1 save out. You should go check your FAQ to make sure you're getting all the up-to-date rules. There were a ton of changes in the game at 3.0. He gives +1 save. Now, this doesn't work on Chaos Warriors, but what it actually does is give your Chaos Warriors their +1 save rule for longer. It also can stack. So with save rolls, you can actually stack multiple +1s to start ignoring points of Ren. So this can be a really good strategy to keep those Chaos Warriors in the fight more. All of a sudden, if your Chaos Warriors are 3-up save ignoring 1 point of Ren, they're pretty survivable. Not only that, but he can also mean if your Chaos Warriors drop below those 10 models, he can add another +1 save in there, meaning that even when they're 8 or 7 models, they're still getting +1 save. Or he can do well with models that don't have that particular Chaos Warrior. Things like Chaos Knights can get +1 save from him, and other units as such. On to monsters though, it's worth, as always with this edition, picking up some cool monsters. The Chaos Lord on Manticore is a nice, decent combat hero. You've also got access to a couple of other chaotic monsters in the Mindstiller Spheranx as well, and a couple of others. The Chaos Sorcerer Lord also has a monster option as well. You've also got things like the Fomeroid Crusher as well, which is another one of the various monster things you've got for the army. And you've got just a ton of different chaotic monster options to bring towards the force. You can do just to give you all those monsters rampage and take advantage of all the monster benefit rules you're going to get in the new edition of Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Next up, we have a Chaos War Shrine. This is the priest available to you if you're playing in the Slaves to Darkness. So what's cool, he's got a bunch of different buffs that really are some fantastic buffs for your army. In addition, he's also a priest, so you can start taking some of those generic prayer laws as well. Things like Curse or even Bless can be really effective on Chaos Warriors. Lastly, I want to talk about Cultists and Marauders. I think the Cultist units are definitely underappreciated. They've got a ton of different uses. Things like Iron Golems are extremely survivable in the new edition, and things like Untamed Beasts have that pre-game move that can really allow you to take early board control across the table. Marauders do what Marauders do, and they're pretty good at making sure you get off a charge. They're a really strong, versatile unit on the table. They can ensure pretty much they're always getting that charge off. Now though that we've talked a little bit about all these things we can bring into the army, talked a little bit about endless spells and Slaves to Darkness, Star Collecting Books in general, let's go look at a little sample army list we've put together and talk about how we can make it work. And so this is a little sample army list we've put together for the Slaves to Darkness. Now, for starters, we're going to be playing in a sub-faction called the Ravagers. What's cool about Ravagers is they allow a bunch of our extra heroes to go take some extra command abilities, and we'll get into how they end up using them. So, a Ravager General has the following command ability, Rally the Tribes. So you can use the command ability at the end of the movement phase, and if you do so, you can pick one friendly character that's currently your general. The same model cannot be picked more than once for this, and we'll explain how this sort of works together, but they can effectively summon some Chaos Marauders or Chaos Cultists or Marauder Horsemen to the battlefield. Now, what this is as long as your general is not a Daemon Prince, you can effectively, once every turn, choose a different one of your characters to be your general. Then they get access to their own command trait that you've been able to pick extra ones of, thanks to being the Ravagers, and then they can do some other things. This allows you to sort of chain through all your different heroes in the army, summoning extra Cultists and Marauders to the table. Now, for starters, we're going to go the Chaos Lord on Karkadrak as our general, and he's going to have the command trait Eternal Vendetta. So, Internal Vendetta is a really great command trait for our main general. While we're playing in smaller games and we don't get access to as many heroes, you're going to have your Chaos Lord and Karkatrak be your general more often. Not only that, but in larger games as well, when those turns where you've maybe lost heroes, so you're not getting as much access to all the different summoning abilities that you get, you're going to have the Chaos Lord and Karkatrak and just have a good command trait for himself, which is reroll to wound attacks, and he also gets to reroll hit rolls as well if he's targeting an order unit. So there's a lot of order armies out there at the moment, so definitely a good rule to have. Now, we've then got our Chaos Sorcerer Lord, who's going to have the command trait Unquestionable Resolve. This gives him one of the free command abilities to use per turn. So he's got one of the generic ones you can either use at the double forward to victory or Inspiring Presence for free, which is really nice. Hoping to see a nice little update in FAQ so we can use any of the generic ones. But for now, it's a really cool thing. And this is good for like a one-use sort of character because effectively you change it over to his turn and then use his sort of free ability to do something that turn that he's your general for. He's going to have the artifact, the Blasphemous Curious. This is a 5-up ward save artifact. You've also got the generic one if you wish to go down that route. It doesn't really matter. But this means both our characters here have a 5-up ward save, and then he's got the spell Mask of Darkness. This is a teleporting spell, pretty generic here. Pick up a unit nearby your wizard, teleport them 9 inches away from enemy units. Really useful. We have a few limited models on the table and can be great in the late game, especially if you're completing our grand strategy. Triumph-wise, we've gone for Bloodthirsty. This is a great triumph as we're 40 points under in this particular list. So this does mean that when we summon a cultist unit or marauders or stuff to the table, we can actually get that rerollable charge if need be. Grand strategy, we've got Predator's Domain. Once again, like I said, Master Darkness is great for helping get this off late game. It's controlling more terrain pieces at the end of the game than your opponent. We can use this by summoning cultists late games, using Master Darkness to travel around the battlefield, and generally our army's pretty killy, especially like Chaos Lord and Karkatrak, so hopefully we're just going to have more units on the table at the end of the game, easing us to do this objective. That's it for our video on the Slaves to Darkness starter set though. I'd love to know your thoughts and your ideas on this particular box set. If you picked it up, what are you doing with it? How are you going? What's happening? And if you play Slaves to Darkness, what would you recommend grabbing for any new players? Well, thank you all for watching the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Also, while you're at it, why not come chat more with us on Discord? We've got a link in the description of the video below to our Discord server. You can come chat with me and other members of our fine little community here at Sinful Gaming. Lastly, we'd like to give a shout out to everyone who helps support the channel in various different ways. First of all, to our Patreon members, Christian Weir, James Soren, Chaos Spawn, AJC, Kenny Lowe, Outer and Shot First, James Crowder, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, Tim Newman, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, MJ, and Dyna226. Thank you to, as well, our YouTube members, Green Roots Gaming, Fire Titan, Steve T, The Real Zeot, Chris Wallace, Turriot12, Vinny, and Locke Lorick. And a special thanks to our artist who does all the channel art for us, Lady Witchfox Art, thank you very much. And to our Discord moderator, Xmorphic, you do a fantastic job on Discord for us as well. Thank you all, everyone, for watching. If you'd like to help support on Patreon or YouTube member or help support the channel in another way, you can do so by following one of the links in the description of the video to Patreon or YouTube members, or go buy some Sinful Gaming merch from our Teespring store, also linked in the video's description. That's it for today, everyone. Thank you again. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.